funniest shit ever. So this guy, for years, was always flowing those Trump flags. Well, now he turned them upside down. Because Trump is fucking all the farmers. Look at this shit. I hope he all up, man. This is between coming from Helena and going to Little Rock. And now all of a sudden, his Trump 2024 flag is flying upside down. He has to pay a lot of money for that motherfucker. And they put that flagpole there. And for years, he's always flown the Trump flags. And Trump is 2016 and to 2020. And now Trump's from 2025 all the way to 2028. And now it's upside down and half mast.
I mean, it was only a matter of time, right? It's not like they've been doing a lot to help the farmers. If anything, a lot of farmers have lost their property because of these things that have been happening. And then JD Vance has ties to Ace Trader, which is an app designed to sell agricultural land. So I'm not trying to say that he's profiting from this, but, you know, potato, potato.
They all told them, this is what happens when you make a bad choice. These MAGA farmers were told before that what they're electing, they don't know what the consequences that it's going to bring. And look at them right now. They are crying and they don't have anybody to listen to them. Their farms are fading away. Their fruits or vegetables or whatever they have to harvest is rotting in the farmlands. There's no person to harvest that because the very same government they elected, they supported, they thought was going to protect them is the one which turned their backs against them. And look at them right now. They are crying. And it's really sad to see what you supported or what you thought was going to support you is the one which is going to make you even be worse than you were. And this is what happens when you make a bad choice. So I've downloaded many clips of people crying about their farmlands being taken away and their harvest being rotten in their farmlands. And let's watch the whole video. I'm gonna be right back with my final commentaries. As you're watching, please remember to put your ideas in the comment section. And if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, remember to do so. So let's watch the whole video. And I'm gonna be back with my final conclusions.
A lot of people effed around and now they're finding out. And no group of people is going to find out more quickly than farmers because they're really going to get screwed. With the cutting of this USAID program, they're really going to get hit hard because what was that program or is that program that is not being operated as it's supposed to be because of Donald Trump giving complete control of the federal government to the billionaire who bought him, Elon Musk. Anyways, what was the purpose of that? The purpose was to provide humanitarian relief around the world. And a big part of that was providing food to desperate people around the world. And what we did through that program is purchase a lot of agricultural products produced by American farmers and then distribute those products around the world. Now that money is being withheld illegally, but it's being withheld, and farmers are not getting paid, and their products, their agricultural products, are no longer being purchased by the federal government. I saw a guy, you've probably seen this, it's gone viral, some MAGA farmer complaining about how all these contracts he had to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of agricultural products to the federal government, that's all being cut now. And he's out hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he specifically starts the video by saying he voted for Donald Trump. And he doesn't take that back, by the way. Apparently, he's still a Trump supporter. And then he goes on to explain how all of these contracts, all this money he was getting, was through the Inflation Reduction Act passed by Joe Biden. And so he's benefiting greatly from Joe Biden's policies. So what does he do? He votes for Donald Trump. Donald Trump promptly kills all of that. He's out hundreds of thousands of dollars, yet he can't bring himself to say that he made a mistake in voting for Donald Trump. The man is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he still can't admit that he made a mistake. These friggin' MAGAs, I'm sorry. I'm going to enjoy people like this guy losing everything. There's consequences for stupidity, and they're going to learn that.
This is awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it.
The fields stretching across the United States have fallen into an unusual silence, not because the harvest season has ended, but because the crops are slowly withering away. By September 2025, more than 400 million pounds of produce had been left outside to rot. Corn in Iowa dried out, soybeans in Illinois turned yellow and withered without care, and tomatoes in California shriveled on the ground. Not because of drought, not because of pests, but because something in the system has stopped working the way it should. Some farmers abandoned their work midway through harvest. Others complained they couldn't find enough labor to work the fields. Still others received word that there would be no buyers for their crops. Meanwhile, imports from abroad continued to flow in steadily. At the same time, prices in supermarkets and markets kept soaring. So the question is, why is food grown by American farmers left to rot in the fields while the country keeps importing? Why are the very people who grow the food forced to watch their harvests waste away? In this video, we will take a closer look at 7 crops now being abandoned right on American soil. Stay with us until the end, because the answer may reveal a truth about the United States more clearly than anything we usually hear. Number 7. Corn. We begin with corn, the crop that once built entire local economies. From ethanol.
Farmers across America helped propel Donald Trump back into the White House in November's election. And even in a state like deep blue California, which, by the way, produces over half of the food we consume here in the United States, those farmers in California also supported Donald Trump. Now, because of the Electoral College, their votes really don't matter all that much, but these farmers said, by God, I want Donald Trump up there. And a month and a half later, these very same farmers, according to a new report from Politico, are basically wetting their pants in fear because, oh God, Donald Trump's going to deport half of our workforce. They're acting like they've just discovered this, like this wasn't something that Donald Trump repeatedly said on the campaign trail, which he did.
Huge breaking news right now. The Republican governor of Nebraska has announced that Republicans in Nebraska have dropped their attempt to change the election rules in the state, making it a winner-take-all state this November.
Tens of thousands of Nebraskan farmers are going to be bankrupt within the next 2 fiscal quarters because of this. They wanted Trump to be president so badly, they passed a rule that says it's an all-or-nothing vote, no splits, and they got him in. And now the deportations are coming. And he's about to steal a very large percentage of their already very dwindling workforce. Most of Nebraska's farming and harvesting and production was handled by undocumented workers. And Trump is going to be very strict bringing that handle down on his new deportation laws. And there is not going to be anybody to be working those farms. Crops are going to be dying in the fields while Nebraskan farmers go absolutely bankrupt from the decision they made. And if they think their workers are going to stay, they're not. They're not going to take the chances, not with their family, not with their children, not with their jobs. They're going to go and hide or just outright leave and go somewhere else. And Nebraska is going to go bankrupt within months.
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at Kansas, you're looking at Iowa, South Dakota, all of those places that are large exporters of grains to China and depend on migrant farm labor, they're not going to be able to pay their bills either. So here's the first one to fall. But of course, as we do know, a certain person in a certain house in Washington, D.C. at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they know all about bankruptcy. I'm sure they'll be able to help.
Farmers and small business owners who supported strict immigration policies and aggressive trade tariffs only to now find themselves struggling financially. Some voters who once proudly supported those policies are now speaking out, saying their businesses are collapsing, their workplace, have disappeared, and their farms are facing serious economic pressure. For many, observers, this situation has sparked a difficult and emotional debate about voting decisions.
When did farmers become the villains? When did the disconnect happen is what I don't understand.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them.
Oh my God, can you guys just stop lying for 2 seconds? Please, just stop lying. Nobody's mad at you because you're a farmer. We all recognize how important farmers are. We all appreciate farmers. We're mad at you because you voted for this and you're playing victim as if you didn't vote for this. And I don't even mean this in a fuck around and find out type of way because you already found out in his first term. His horrible policies led to him having to bail you out. And you knew this. That's why I know you didn't vote for him because of the farm or because of the economy. You voted for him for different reasons. And let's start being honest. Your community is a huge reason why we have a sociopath in office, why we have an adjudicated rapist in office, why we have someone who tried to overthrow our government in office, why we have a 34-time felon in office, why we have a president who is actively ruining every part of our economy in office. You voted for that, knowing that he was going to do it because he did it to you in the first term, and y'all didn't care because trans people or something. Also, sidebar, I voted for you. For what it's worth, I voted for you. Okay? Leftists voted for you. The left voted for you. We vote for a collective. We vote for other people. To sit here and act like this is America, why are we not rooting for each other? That's what our vote does. That's how we look at elections. That's how we look at candidates. For you to come to us and say, how come the people who want everybody to have healthcare, who wants everybody to have public education, who wants everybody to have childcare, how come they don't want to be a part of this community that we have over here? How come they're mad at us? When we voted for you, and we voted for the exact solution that you were asking for right now, is absolutely insane.
Check out how Trump's policies are destroying these red state farmers who voted for him, and we're going to be right back.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love Mr. Trump. I need to see fruit and love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's serious. That is it.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old. And I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
So my son will not be the secretary on our farm.
I'm going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Now, a lot of my liberal followers are understandably, justifiably like, well, F around and find out. But that's a little too simple for my journalistic standards. There's something deeper going on here. Because if you have a historical understanding of how propaganda works on the human mind, I think everybody who's getting messed over by these Trump policies in red states who voted for him needs to start by suing right-wing media companies for radicalizing them into doing things that are against their best interests and echo chambering them out of the information that could have them more critical about his policies. I'll reiterate, if you ain't got the bandwidth to feel nothing for these people after what they done, I feel you. But low-key, high-key, this is tragic, yo. Because even as late as May, a survey by the Purdue company of like 400 farmers showed that 70% of them still believe that Trump's tariffs is going to have some kind of positive benefit for them. Remember that slew of executive orders that Donald Trump was just signing earlier on in the year? Well, it caused so much bureaucratic instability that it made the USDA pause funding for over 30,000 farmers in the United States. That was strike one. Strike two for the farmers was when Doge came in and gutted USAID. Everybody was like, oh, that's just a front for the CIA across the world. Maybe, but also it created automatic buyers all across the world for American-grown wheat and corn and anything that could bridge the gap for starvation. That's gone. Strike three was the deportations. These farmers literally voted for Trump to steal their workers and wonder why ain't no work getting done when all of these compounding factors are crushing them. Strike four, which is more than you're supposed to have, is what? The dude said it. The tariffs. He said it's the icing on the cake. We tried to tell y'all that it's Americans who pay the tariffs. Y'all didn't listen. So listen to these farmers. You know what's ironic? A lot of these farmers were dead silent or complicit in black farmers getting screwed over for decades by not only their peers, but by the USDA. So bad that they had to win lawsuit after lawsuit in the billions of dollars to get claims and damages done. And still the USDA was slow with paying them out. Had they not been so racist, they'd have had a larger coalition to argue for what they need. And what's even deeper is that a lot of these farmers' ancestors were given this land in the Homesteading Act of 1862, when freshly stolen land from Native Americans was given to European peasants for pennies on the dollar. We're talking about 1/10 of the U.S. landmass. The term chickens coming home to roost is a farming colloquialism that applies here with a ruthless poetic irony. I can't even really get myself to celebrate over this because I'm looking at how the sins of the father cascade down to the generations, how these farmers inherited not only land, but a culture from their forebearers that allowed them to be prime targets for propaganda like this. The only positive way that I can look at this is possibly a new beginning in disguise. Because if we're going to have an America that works for everybody, it's going to take these folks getting disappointed in this way to let this all burn down, metaphorically speaking, and plant new seeds for the future. That's just my take on it. What y'all feel? My name is Theo E.J. Wilson. Like, follow, and share this message out if you feel it. Holla back.
Our farmers have grain, soybeans rotting in the fields right now, where he's having to take money that they stole from us. They stole it from us with tariffs to pay those farmers whose markets he destroyed with the government. So look, I am a common sense Democrat, and apparently it means that I'm going to have to be really, really loud because there's not a lot of folks saying these very simple things. We have to grow our economy. We cannot live in this world alone without alliances, without trade partners. We have to work together.
Florida farmers post 2 million job openings for They Took Our Jobs crowd. Crops rot anyway. So, in news that is absolutely shocking to no one with a functioning brainstem, Florida's $132 billion agriculture industry is currently in a state of full-blown panic. It turns out their entire workforce, the legal H-2A visa holders and migrant laborers, is vanishing because, and you'll love this, they're terrified of the administration's terrorize every brown person immigration policy. But here's the crazy part. I've been told for nearly a decade by a very loud group of people that these were the exact jobs that patriotic red-blooded Americans were just itching to do. Well, it's a mystery, because Florida's farmers have about 2 million help wanted signs up, and so far, the They Took Our Jobs crowd has apparently not shown up to pick strawberries in 95-degree heat. It's almost as if economic anxiety was just a cute folksy word for racism this whole time. This is the Maga economic plan in action. Their policies are so successful that they're destroying a $132 billion industry, and now your tomatoes are going to rot in a field. Enjoy paying $15 for a pint of them this winter. They really showed us.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Canaan High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids. And I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers because I watch how hard they work to get this crop in the ground and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet. The next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. The people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values. And that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, you know, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many of his businesses failed. And those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this, let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs. And they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, you know, the idea that immigration people come here and, oh, they're using our tax dollars. Blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farming and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything.
These farmers you see right here in this video, they were the one who were saying or who thought that Maga movement was going to make them the great people ever, make America great again. So is this true? Do you think the policies and the points that your government is taking is making America great again? Because when we say America, we do not hear about the flag or the land. Generally, America is people. It's you farmers who are meeting with these consequences. So if we are now crying, do you think that America is being great by you crying inside your farmlands without having people to harvest what you have to harvest? The people are being chased out of the country without having other people to replace them. The workers are very rare to find them, while your government is even taking that small number of people who were able to work in your farmlands out of the country, calling them illegal immigrants. It's okay to chase out people. It's okay to really fire people from the country. But the question is, who are going to take the jobs they were doing? Because even if people are staying in the country illegally, there is a process, there is a way, there is a lot of ways that you can make them legal to stay in your country, especially if they are contributing to the economy of the country as USA. And if you are chasing like 20 million people without planning, what are we going to do after they are gone? Because these people were occupying jobs. When someone is working, he's not only working or contributing for himself, it's also for the sake of other people. If people are, harvesting crops at the lower minimum salary, and these American people who cannot accept that minimum salary, they are going to charge overtime, they are going to charge a lot of money. And that money that you are paying that person or that American person, you are going to add it to the final customer. This is going to increase, of course, the cost of the products. If the cost of the products are increasing, it's going to come back to every single person. So the reason why I'm bringing farmers is because farming is like a backbone of each and every country. Droughts can come, diseases can come, viruses can come. There is one thing that people continue to do. You know what? That is eating. So if the farmers are not in good conditions, if the farmers are not having people to support them, the workers to harvest what they cultivated, then they are going to quit farming. If they quit farming, what happens is the cost of food and groceries is going to go up. Then if the groceries are very expensive, there are some people who are not going to be able to buy them. Then a lot of problems are going to come inside the very same country you said you are going to make it great. So do you think now you are making it great, or you are making it something that I don't have any name? Maybe you can tell me in the comment section. But what I think is that the very government that these Maga supporters erected is the one that is causing everything you are seeing. So do you think supporting Maga movement was the very right choice to do or not? Please tell me in the comment section. And this was where I am ending this video. But if you have any other idea, maybe something you need to add on what I said, or something that you need to bring as a new idea, please make sure that you drop that in the comment section. And if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, remember to do so. Let's meet again in the next video, which is coming very soon.